Hey y'all, it's Celt. Let's talk about Epstein, apparently again, about the fact that there's going to be more documents released, and what does that all actually mean when it comes to protecting children from predators? And can people care about two things at one time? Roll clip.
Oi! Hello? Breaking. Final Epstein docs to be unsealed after new ruling. February 10. Stop looking at the alien shit. It's not happening, it's just a distraction. No one cares about the balloons. Aliens, schmalians, who cares? This is the shit that they're trying to distract you from. After 4 long years, the final batch of court documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein's associates and victims is set to be released. Now that shit should go viral. Off you go.
So what that article is saying about the final batch of Epstein documents being released is true. That article does have some other issues with it that need to be discussed, but the basic idea of it is true. A judge has decided to unseal the final batch of Epstein documents and make that public knowledge. But here's the thing. This is not some big gotcha that, oh, look, everything else is just trying to distract us from this. Because multiple news sources are reporting on this, that these documents are set to be released, including larger news stations like Fox News and the Daily Mail. In fact, that article that she is posing in front of references the Daily Mail's news article on it, because they're one of the first news agencies to report on this. But if you stand in front of the Daily Mail's article or even the Fox News article's version of it, you can't make your video to be like it's some big cover-up. If you use an article from a small politically biased truther website, you can then try to imply that the Chinese spy balloon situation was just completely crafted to hide the Epstein situation. You can try to make a conspiracy theory when there's no conspiracy. And that's exactly what she's doing. And I say that article is politically biased because, look, it references the Daily Mail's news article. And in the Daily Mail's article about it, it mentions that Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump were associated with Epstein, but they're not sure if they're going to show up in the documents. Her article includes that statement from the Daily Mail, modified slightly to look like it's their own. Her article states that Bill Clinton and Bill Gates were associated with Epstein, but they're not sure if they're going to appear in the documents, completely leaving out the fact that Donald Trump was also associated with Epstein. So the fact that she picked this particular news article when major news networks are covering the story is very telling, because this definitely fits her political agenda and her ability to craft a conspiracy when there's no conspiracy there. Now the real question is, what does the release of these papers mean? Honestly, probably not much of anything. Because these papers are being released because the John and Jane Does listed in the papers have agreed to them being unsealed. To the point that some people we know that are in the documents, such as Prince Andrew, are celebrating their release and unsealing because they feel that it will clear their name. Whether that's true or not, we actually won't know until we see the documents, but that doesn't give me a lot of hope that there's going to be any groundbreaking revelations in these documents. Mostly because the majority of documents in the Epstein case have already been unsealed. We know approximately 99% of the John Doe and Jane Does listed in all these documents already. We know this because the entire Epstein saga was not just one individual trial in which one judge sealed all the documents away. This entire saga goes back even further to cases in which Epstein was still alive. We know who was in Epstein's Little Black Book because we have it and it was released in other cases in which he was still alive and a part of. It's fully searchable online. We know who was on Epstein's plane because we have his flight logs, because those were released in other cases in which Epstein and Maxwell were involved in. Those flight logs are also searchable online. We have a treasure trove of information already. The issue is not that information is not being released, it's that it's being politicized and turned into a conspiracy theory. This conspiracy takes attention from other victims of child exploitation. It makes people think that the Epstein case is the magic bullet for fixing child exploitation. So yes, we do need to hold the people involved in the Epstein and Maxwell case accountable for their actions. But this big conspiracy that people are trying to make out of the Epstein case makes people forget that the majority of child exploitation is done by a close family friend, person who's in the lives of the child, who's already in a position of authority, such as a teacher, police officer, or youth pastor, or a family member. So push for the release of the information and celebrate when it is released. But realize that that's not where the majority of work needs to be done to end child exploitation.